Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Please smash that subscribe button below. It helps the channel grow. It really helps get the word out. Benny, where can they find us on social media?
Yeah, you can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everyone's favorite TikTok. Don't forget, check us out on Reddit as well, and leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
We have CFL Talk. We have NFL Talk. Of course, we have Winnipeg Jets Talk, brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Did I say NFL Talk? I always forget if I say NFL Talk or not. We'll leave that for the end then. So let's start with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers playing a game on Matheson on Friday Night Football, a game that we've already said should have been played earlier, 31-21 in a surprisingly close result at IG Field. What are your thoughts on the game on Friday? Any surprising things to you there?
Well, yeah, I mean, just because that game was so close for so long, that's the biggest surprise to me in that whole thing. I figured, and a lot of people figured, hey, Toronto's resting guys. They're not playing Chad Kelly, who's this Cameron Dukes guy. Bombers are going to blow them out. The D's going to have a field day with Dukes, but it was a complete opposite of that. And Dukes actually hung in there very well, and Toronto did as well. And I'm even surprised afterwards that they took him out. You know, they probably could have won this game if they kept him in there and kept playing, but yeah, so that was kind of surprising in that way. And then Brady Oliveira going off.
Nonsense. Why would you? It totally was a close game.
Yeah.
He was playing very well. They put this other guy in who goes 0 for 4. And then they put him back in. What was that all about? Like, is that disrespect from Dinwiddie? Like, he's saying, I'm just going to mess with y'all. I'm going to put this quarterback in and see if we can win with him and then do what I like. That is very weird.
He did say that he was going to try and get that guy some playing time earlier in the week. But you would think maybe if Dukes is having a bad game or, you know, not doing well for a stretch or something, then maybe you put him in there. But you're actually winning this game and Dukes is playing very well. Let the guy see it out, right? So it is kind of weird.
He got scared by that D-line again. He's like, oh, I don't want him to touch Kelly or Dukes.
Yeah.
Like you're about to say Brady Oliveira. Go ahead. You can talk about that dude because he's crazy.
Yeah, another amazing performance by this guy. And I think the Bombers need to kind of maybe ride him a little bit more. I mean, 25 carries is riding him in this game, but you know, when things aren't going good for that offense, turn to Brady Oliveira, 169 yards, another 12 yards in catches, I believe, and a touchdown. The only blemish for him was that fumble right before half where the Bombers could have ended up taking the lead, but the guy, he took over in that second half and you know, basically was that Bomber offense.
I really loved his first touchdown from Zach Collaros. I believe it was only a 6-yard touchdown,
yeah,
but it was a screen, and then he took on 2 Argos defenders, put a hand on the ground to stop himself from going down, and then took it into the end zone. It was like textbook Brady Oliveira. Man,
would you put him above Collaros yet in MOP?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Why
not? Especially the way Collaros has kind of gone with the interceptions and all that kind of stuff.
And shout out to the O-line too, who played fairly well. You know, they gave Brady Oliveira that almost untouched to the second level again. You know, and when he gets going, those linebackers are in trouble. And Collaros did have a pocket for most of the game.
Yeah, and then Brady Oliveira himself shouted out that O-line and their blocking and all that for him that helped him get to where he did in that game. So, yeah, great effort by them. And that run blocking seems to be getting better and better as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Dalton shown another good game for him as well. Up to, you know, over 100 yards. He's now leading the league in receiving yards. So he's proven to be a good receiver 2 years in a row now. Hopefully the Bombers can figure out how to keep him.
I'm going to go back. Well, hopefully. I'm going to go back to the running game. You know, it's obviously very effective. This is not a knock on how can you knock Brady Oliveira or his fitness, or it's not a knock on that at all. But again, they only went with him as the main runner, 25, 26 carries, and Prukop and Collaros were the other ones. They didn't try any sweeps with Dembski or with Bailey. Horrible night with names. But the running game wasn't as diversified. There wasn't as much motion or the threat of a jet sweep or use of play action. So that was a bit worrisome for me. Again, it's not a knock on Brady Oliveira. It's just the use and play calling and the use of the running game. I thought could have been a little more creative.
Yeah, maybe they're saving some of that for later in the preseason, new wrinkles or something. I don't know. But yeah,
playoffs.
That is true. That it's not a lot of that, and there was a lot of that earlier in the season with Dembski and Bailey too. So
absolutely, and they already have tape on it. So
yeah,
let's see why don't you use it? Any other thoughts in the game?
You know what? Shout out to the crowd for giving Andrew Harris an ovation. Good to have him back. He was obviously a great player for the Bombers and did a lot for this organization in the city. So
Yeah.
good for them for giving him that ovation. But for me, if we're going back to it, the D, what is happening with this D? We got no sacks again. They did have a forced fumble. Willie Jefferson, no sacks, did force that fumble.
Huge time.
And then
huge turnover.
Yeah, but they're not getting that pressure. Duke's had a lot of time, and Duke's also found some lanes to run afterwards. So where is the linebackers in all of this? You got Kyrie Wilson and Adam Bighill back there. You would think that's a pretty stout linebacker crew just with those two guys, but right now they're kind of getting gashed by these running quarterbacks.
I'm still thinking it's the lack of pressure in the middle of the line. And it's not a slight on Jake Thomas or Ricky Walker. They're great defensive linemen, but Jake Thomas was on a tear. He had 5 sacks in like how many games? 10 games earlier on or something like that, or even less. And I think he's kind of slowed down since then. Ricky Walker is kind of off and on, makes a play here. And again, this is not personal or a shot to them as I don't know if it's scheme wise, but at the middle of the field doesn't seem to be as disruptive as it was with like Casey Sales. You know what I mean? So yeah, the middle of the defensive line is a bit worrisome for me. And again, that comes into effect with the running game. We know there are some teams like James Butler or Hamilton with James Butler who can run against the Bombers. And again, is that middle of the line's a little, it's worrisome for me.
I just looked this up. The trade deadline is actually tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Do they make a deal? Do they find someone that could fill one of those spots? I mean, they can go after one of these teams that are not making the playoffs right now and offer something up for them, right? The first round or second round or whatever.
Yeah. They
did a good option.
The Bombers did do a good job in shutting down Leak. Sheehan only punted once, and he brought that back like a 48-yarder. So that was not good. But the kickoffs, he was under 20 yards average. His longest was 25. So they contained him pretty good. And they did a lot of kickoffs with all those field goals. Holy cow, field goals.
A lot of field goals. That's one of the things. That was a lot of field goals. You got into that territory a lot. And you couldn't find ways to finish it off, and that'll kick you in the butt usually, And if Toronto's playing Kelly or Duke's maybe played the whole game, that would cost the Bombers in the end. Yeah,
3 touchdowns. I don't say guaranteed, obviously, but they're within the Toronto 30-yard line that they had to settle for field goals there.
And that's tough when you got Oliveira and all those receivers. How are you settling for maybe one, fine, but not the 3 of those inside there, right?
Yeah, where's the deep ball? Where was Kenny Lawler?
Exactly. I was just going to say that. 3 catches, 29 yards. What are you paying this guy for all that money if you're not going to use him like that? Right? Where is that deep ball? Where is getting Lawler involved in this game?
Yeah, I agree. This offense could be definitely more dynamic. And obviously, it's not the talent. It's not the talent. Again, I don't have tape. I'm just sitting on my ass in section 112. But the creativity and the use of the talent on this team is either it's not being maximized.
And we've seen flashes of it, right? But you just don't see it consistently game over game.
Yeah.
So we've seen what they can do, but unless teams are just figuring it out and it's a basic enough offense for them to figure it out, I don't know. Like you say, we're just fans sitting in the stands.
Use a heavy set, please. Yeah. Come on, man. Any other thoughts on Friday Night Football?
No. I mean, they came away with the victory. It was ugly. They don't ask how. They just, look at the W in the standings and big game coming up this week.
And do you think it's a lack of pressure that maybe forces Richie Hall to call the defensive backs off because they can't press and man because they don't know if they'll have enough pressure? I don't get it. I don't know.
But you have to trust these DBs. They're good DBs, right? Now with Houston hurt, that kind of is not good, but they're good DBs, right? So they should be able to manage that and stop these guys.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of questionable sometimes.
Shout out to that Razzle Dazzle Parker to home early kickoff return. That was pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, they did a couple of them, right? At least they got some yardage out of it. So
yeah, the second one not so successful. What do the Bombers have to do to improve on defense? We'll start off to make a Grey Cup run.
Find that pass rush. I mean, it has to get back there with Jeffcoat and Jefferson causing menace, the 2 inside guys with Ricky Walker and Jake Thomas causing problems. They just have to do a better job of getting at the other quarterback and disrupting them.
Yeah, absolutely. That is definitely the main thing. And if you have to send a blitz because you're not getting enough pressure, then send a blitz. Maybe have Jake Thomas back up and have Adam Bighill come around and go around Ricky Walker and try and get a sack because or disguise where the rush is coming from, because they're having a tough time getting to that quarterback. Like against okay teams, you might be able to survive, but when you're playing against VA, Chad Kelly, even Fajardo, they have a good passing game. Give him time, they're going to shred you up. So they got to definitely figure that out. On offense, what needs to improve? I'm sorry to say this, obviously, but Zach Caleros, there is another interception this game thrown into triple coverage. I don't know why it was forced in there. Maybe I missed something again, but I looked at it a couple times. It's like, why? It was unnecessary. And then you see across the field this Dukes kid just throwing it out of bounds if he's in trouble, not sacrificing or trying anything crazy. So I don't know, man. And I'm sure he can. Any quarterback going the last 2 minutes of any game right now, I'd still take Caleros 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah, for sure. He's a little bit off this year. He's got 14 interceptions, which he hasn't thrown for that many for the Bombers, or I think this is his career high, isn't it? Even
I think so.
But yeah, that offense has got to get a little bit more clinical and finish. Like we talked about, they settled for too many field goals in this game as well, and that INT by Claros. It's just they need to use Oliveira in certain situations more, and maybe lean on him as this guy, especially when Claros is looking a little bit off. But Claus is a veteran. I could see him turning it around and fixing things up for the playoffs. But yeah, he needs to step it up.
For sure, for sure. Is that what needs to improve on offense for you?
Yeah, it was the same one for me.
We matched. Let's go into CFL talk, and let's talk about CFL grades for each team. Week 17 grades. I'll start with the Bombers. They get a B, strong performance with some worrisome patches against a young QB again. And they're sitting some key players. I was expecting a little more. So Bombers get a B for me.
Yeah, and I'm going to give Toronto a B as well. I mean, they came out, they played well with sitting a lot of guys. They were in contention to win this game. And like we say, probably have a pretty good chance with Dukes playing the whole game. But yeah, props to them. They're proven to be a very good team, and they will be tough in the playoffs.
I might be wrong, but I think Roulette touched the ball twice, and both went for more than 20 yards, and one was a touchdown.
And that one too, the defense on that one, where were you? He just went straight down the middle. Like down the middle.
And what's his name? Dukes made the play with his feet.
Yeah.
He kept that play alive.
Exactly. And he found all that.
No. I'll go with the BC Lions. They get an A. VA had a career game going over 450. Rhymes was back with 92. Man, if they get a consistent running game going, which they didn't have, watch out. I'm worried about Friday.
Yeah, Friday's going to be tough. Friday's going to be tough. Their counterparts, Saskatchewan. Wow, what is happening with them? I have D written down, but I'm actually going to give them a D minus. Just reading a stat today too, they've lost 8 of 9 games that they've played in the last 2 Septembers. And even though
not been a good month,
no, even though Jake Dogala threw for over 400 yards, and you still pretty much got smashed in this game because BC just took their foot off the gas pedal late. So,
how many wins in September?
They've only won 1,
and that's against Bombers on Labor Day.
I guess so. Yeah.
Speaking of D minuses, I'm going to go with Ottawa. Red Blacks being the Red Blacks. Turnovers that should have been scores, momentum shifters. Horrible. They're 0-7 in the East, and I think all their games are against the East. Their only blessing is they have a back-to-back with the Argos, where the Argos might be sitting the whole team, and maybe Ryan Dinwiddie might play quarterback. I don't know, but
yeah, but if they lose one more game, they're done anyways, right? Exactly. They can only end up tying Saskatchewan at that point. So,
and they need a lot of help.
Yeah. Jeez, I just watching that game, I feel for the man. You're in scoring position. You do something stupid and you throw an interception. And other times too, man. It's just like mistake after mistake. Coaching, players, whatever. Oh my God, I feel for them.
Sorry, Bobby Dice. Sorry.
Their counterparts in that game, the Owls, I'm gonna give them a B. Even slightly into B plus. Defense was very good. Pick 6 and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. 5 quarterback sacks. Crum may have had lots of yards in that game, but he threw a bunch of interceptions and bad ones. Got to ask you about this onside punt. Did you see that?
Oh, yeah. That's cool with me. I have no issue with it.
The question is, why would you do it there? Why wouldn't you save it for the playoffs sometime? You catch maybe Toronto or Hamilton, whoever you're playing in that game, off guard a little bit, right?
They got excited. They're like, yo, I thought of this play overnight. They're like, what? We got to try this.
Oh, that play has to change. Something has to change with that.
Why?
I don't know. It seems so, I don't know. It doesn't seem good for the league that the guy can punt it 2 yards and get a first down when not even passing the first down marker.
Yeah, well, people got to start defending against that now. Can't just leave a guy 7 yards off the line. You can't just leave the running back running around in the flats and then be 13 yards off if it's a second and long.
Yeah.
Now you got to think about it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I don't mind. It's quirky. I got Hamilton. I'm going to give them a B. Schlitz. Yes. Had a solid game. Casey Sales with a sack. Jamal Davis with a sack. And James Butler with 92 yards. So good for you, Hamilton.
Yeah. Sam Peters get a D. Calgary. O-line is terrible. Jake Mayer is looking terrible. They've lost 7 games by one score or by less than one score, but they have not looked good in a lot of these games, even though they're losing by close margins. So, yeah, D for Calgary, and it's not looking good for them.
If you're a Stampeder fan and can leave a voicemail on Dave Dickinson's phone, what would you say?
Wow, I mean, talking about that O-line, I'd be like, why did you release Derek Dennis when that O-line had already lost Julian Good-Jones to the NFL?
Yeah.
And just please try to pass that ball further downfield.
Is Jake Myers still leading the league in yards passing?
I don't know. Probably just because he's thrown a lot, but maybe
yeah,
it is like he was. Where did I write this down? 26 completions for 239 yards. Like that's under 10 yards at completion, right? It's terrible
for sure,
especially in the CFL.
I'd probably tell to like go beg John Hufnagel to come back as GM. Just take those reins back because it's too much on your plate. Was it Dave Dickinson? Yeah, too much on your plate. Oh my goodness.
Does that count against the salary cap if he's still getting paid as GM and Hufnagel comes down? I guess Hufnagel was getting paid something. He's president, right?
For sure he is. Yeah. Just do a little volunteer work on the side.
Yeah.
How about his brother Craig? Well, I tell that guy, yo, call your brother to ask for a job on his coaching staff. That's what I'd say. Get on the phone with your brother quick because Rome is falling quickly in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, back to special teams. I would say, you know what? Thanks for the memories and the good seasons, but it's time for us to move on. It's not you. It's you.
Well, for sure it's him. Without a shadow of a doubt, it hasn't been working out. Oh my god, Marino and everything else after that has been just
what a gong show. Hey, but Jeremy O'Day just said the other day they have a lot of high character guys now compared to last year, so they should be better.
Jeremy O'Day, as soon as he saw Caleb Evans sit on the bench again, he should have been making a move to get him as quarterback. One of those loser teams should have been making a move. I don't know what anyone was waiting for. Talk about the trade deadline earlier, right?
Yeah.
Why is he not on a team, this guy? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he looked good filling in for Jardo a couple times,
right? Absolutely. CFL fans, put your thoughts below in the comments section. Winnipeg Jets talk brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, or the field with a custom airbrushed helmet or goalie mask. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions for any project. Check it out. Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431. Tell them Ray and Benny sent you. This is a good one. The Jets are supposed to be a draft and develop team, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Are they good at doing that? Your thoughts? You kind of said last week what your thoughts were, but would you like to clarify your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, looking back at their past drafts, and we're kind of not looking in the last couple of years. We're looking from 2011 maybe to about 2020. They've failed in their bottom 6. You just lost Jansen Harkins again. I know these guys aren't great players and haven't developed into the players they thought, but Harkins was a second rounder, right? You're probably hoping this guy hits your top 6, at least the top 9 if you're drafting him in the second round. And now they lost him here for nothing. It's another lost asset. They lost Kovacevic last year. They're probably losing Stanley or Chilsholm this year. Heinola seems to be developing into that guy, but he's not getting any room to play. So hitting their first rounders, they've done a great job. But then you might lose a couple more this year with Scheifele and Hellebuck moving on, right? And you're gambling here that you could be able to trade them later.
Yep.
But if you have a decent season, it's going to be harder to trade them because if you're in a playoff mix, you're not going to. So for me, I think they need to do a better job to fill in that bottom 6. Right now, they have Lowry basically there from that. And your boy Appleton, who you said should be the 13th forward last week. So
yeah,
it's not looking good. And I know they've traded some of these guys that they've lost and have filled in those spots. But right now, the drafting part of it needs some work.
So are they doing it enough to develop and keep that talent?
I don't think so. No, top six wise, yes, they're doing a great job. Bottom six, not so much. And really, if they lose Scheifele and Hellebuck here for nothing, it's going to take a big hit as well.
Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think we can either bring in the equation into the equation of the Scheifele Hellebuck. Right now, they're on the club, so they're on the club. I think yes, they are very successful at the draft and develop model. You look at other teams like Calgary, Ottawa, Columbus, St. Louis, Arizona, Buffalo. They're around or below slightly the 50% of their players being on the roster. This year's a bit tighter for the Jets. Right now, you said that the projected would be 7 out of 20, so that's 35%. But even then, you're still around the area of draft and develop teams. Your captain is drafted. 4 of their top 6 are drafted. Their defense is lacking. Lately, it's been horrible. Sometimes through no fault of their own. Like it'd be nice to have Trouba and Liney on the roster, obviously, but Trouba, they both wanted out. So what are you going to do? And he did get Pionk, who kind of is off and on, but still a good asset as a top 4 defenseman for where you are and compared to whatever else they have. Stanley's a little rough. So I think they are. Like your number 1 D-man is also your draft. And you have a Vezina contending goalie who's also draft. So the amount of talent they have on their draft and who's playing, I think they're not the most successful at draft and develop, but I think they're very good at it. I just wish they could fill it with other players who would want to come to Winnipeg.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, they've made trades. You traded Line for Dubes, who didn't want to stay here in the end, but you got 3 guys for them. Now it all depends what happens with those 3 guys when their contracts are up. If they sign here again, hey, you did a good job there. And then trading Kopp, you got Lambert and Barron out of that, So you're making good moves in that way. But this top 6, if one of those guys gets injured, there's no one to really fill in those spots. So that's where you're kind of hurt or missing on those draft and develop guys, because those bottom 6 guys, you don't want Appleton in your top 6, right? And then who else are you going to throw in there that you've drafted? Barron has worked okay sometimes, but he's more of that bottom 6 kind of guy too. I think they got to hit on some of those guys and maybe figure out a way to get these guys in the lineup at some point as well, because this trade for Nate Schmidt, and we needed him well at the time, but now he's taken up a spot where maybe one of these guys, maybe Chisholm even, could fill in and see what he can do at the NHL level before possibly losing him for nothing. So it needs a little bit of work. It's not horrible. Like I said, the top end of the draft, they've done very well with their first rounders. A lot of those guys are still playing. So we'll see. Hopefully they've hit very well in the last 2 or 3 drafts.
Their 2C is a draft pick as well.
Well, we'll see what happens. For the judge is still kind of out on Perfetti. He's looked good at times, but hasn't been able to stay healthy. So this year is going to be a good test for him to see if he can step up into that 2C role.
Absolutely. And they got Niederreiter, who can also, not saying he's a draft pick, but is someone who can go up to the second, maybe first line if there are some depth concerns as well. And then you have Velarde, who can also shift down to center if need be.
Well, speaking of, anyways, this lineup, the Jets are playing tonight, obviously in Calgary, and Ford has looked good again in that game. He's got a couple assists. Gustafsson is another guy who's been drafted that has struggled to make the lineup. He's got a couple goals tonight too. So good effort for that. Yeah, Hainel with a nice goal set up by Perfetti too.
So maybe. And they got what's his name? Sandberg also. He's a 5th rounder or 3rd rounder.
Yeah, second rounder, wasn't he? Yeah.
Either way, he's stepping up as well. So I think they're doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good. Let's move on to some NFL talk. Ooh, Zach Wilson. He's took it hard on the sideline, man. It's my fault. You can hear him say, my fault.
My fault, bro.
He is who he is. Do you still believe, or is this a sign of improvement and maturation? What are your thoughts there?
I would have to see at least another week to say he's anything different. But right now, he is who he is to me. He's looked good at times. Even last season, he had good games and all that stuff. But then he's come back with a clunker. Looked good last night. Still made those mistakes, though. And that fumble is obviously very costly in that. So I need to see more out of him to claim him anything different. But right now, he is who he is.
Yeah, I do think it is a sign of improvement and definitely maturation. He's taking on his shoulders compared to what happened last time he spoke. Yeah. And the locker room was divided. Guys were actually coming to him, and a lot of guys were supporting him. So that's a huge difference from, remember that catastrophe where he said something about whatever, and then it divided any which way.
Well, he said no one time when it was if he should apologize to the defense or something like that, right? No.
So there's definitely, I think there's a sign of improvement, maturation. Is he much better as a quarterback? We'll have to see. Chris Jones was defending him.
Yeah,
What's his name?
And Mahomes gave him props too. A lot of guys were giving him props.
What's that guy's name?
Who, for Kansas City or?
No, he's Rodney Harrison. He's being a big dink on TV.
Yeah, he ripped him, didn't he?
Troll. Yeah, he's horrible. Shut up, man. Trying to be whatever. Sorry. Best landing spot for Chase Claypool. What do you think?
Chicago, because they need receivers. But other than that, I was looking, and I think maybe New England. I know they got Juju, Devontae Parker, and Kendrick Bourne, but I think they need another offensive weapon there. Especially Juju's kind of seems off this year. I don't think he's done a thing. So I'd like to see him go to maybe New England. He could help them out, even though that offense seems like a tire fire themselves.
Yeah, too bad they don't have a quarterback.
That whole offense, I don't know if it's O'Brien, Mac Jones, what the heck, but they were bad yesterday.
Yeah. Go to Kansas City. That's a good place for him to succeed. There's some vets around him. He has Kelce, Mahomes, Andy Reid. So, and anything he does stupid will just be buried anyways under TV coverage for the Chiefs and such. But anyways, as a 49er fan, you get to write a 2-line memo to your team wearing that jersey there. What are you writing to them? What are you telling John Lynch or the coach or the players? What?
I'm telling John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, thank you for coming because you turned this team around. Keep it going. Team is a blast to watch. And thanks for keeping Jed York on the sidelines and out of any team decisions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That guy, That guy.
He messed around with it way too much, man, and got his hands mixed in there when the guy really knew nothing about football at all. So,
no, he's not very good. He's not very good.
He's better now because he's staying the heck out of it.
Yeah.
Until it goes bad at some point.
No, he won't. I'll do the same for the Steelers. They have to fire Matt Canada. This dude, how long has he? Ever since day one, probably we've been doing this podcast. I've wanted this guy gone.
yeah, pretty sure.
I'm not lying. There's no jumping on bandwagons or nothing for this guy. He cannot call plays. He cannot game plan. He can't coach up Kenny Pickett. He is not the standard. Get his trash out of here. That's what I say. Horrible.
Totally agree. That offense is tough to watch, man. Holy crap.
What offense?
Yeah, that's true.
You have a brickhead?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this is, I mean, it's not the greatest brickhead, I guess, but I'm gonna give it to the NFL for joining in on this Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce hysteria. You know what? A guy scores a touchdown in a game, doing a dance, and you cut away from that just to show Taylor Swift in the box celebrating and cheering. It's not even Kelce that got the touchdown. This is a different guy altogether. Chill out. We want to watch football. Leave that other stuff to the other side.
You don't make me defend, eh? You make me defend Taylor Swift. It's all
I have nothing against Taylor Swift.
The
it's
money.
Just too much. I know, but it's
all
too much.
About the money and all about the ratings. Have you seen these numbers about the first week where Kelce gained like 380 followers on Instagram? His jersey sales went up fundamentally. Even his brother, his popularity. So it's all about the money. There are these Taylor Swift people now tuning in to either NFL games or highlights, and that's money for this league. That's all they care about.
It is money.
They don't care about us no more, man.
For sure. I know that. I know it's all about the money, and that's why they're doing it. But good God, I just want to watch a game.
Yeah. Remember that song we used to dance with the club? Hey, must be the money. What was that? Nelly. Yeah, he should be the Grey Cup.
Speaking of the Grey Cup, what do you think of Green Day?
That's a good show. I like it.
That's not a bad one.
They're in Winnipeg, weren't they? Like a month ago on the Burton Cummings.
I think the block party or something like that, right?
Yeah,
or something.
An appearance there.
Yeah.
I'll enjoy it. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I'll be eating, but still, doesn't matter.
It's just hopefully they don't bring them all into the box afterwards to talk to them about the game
for the whole third quarter
when they know nothing about the game.
Oh, it's like shut up. Oh, where city are we in again? Hamilton.
Yeah. Oh,
shout out to Maya Turner again, like just making history and being an amazing player for the U of M. Handle all the place kicking, 2 for 2 on field goals, 4 for 4 on converts, and like average over 55 yards per kickoff. So shout out to Manitoba Bison, Maya Turner. Good episode. Benny, do you have anything to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Thank you, Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Go check them out and have a good week.
We have an election here in Manitoba and we're voting. So to all y'all, this is a quote from Herm Edwards. You play to win the game. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Denny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.